joining me today. I'm gonna walk you through how to make this super cute little coupon love Valentine card. Let's get started. All right, let's go over what you will get inside of your kit here. So you're gonna have a container of the Mod Podge. You're gonna have a piece of ribbon. You're gonna have a red outline and then the white to make the coupons, and you'll have a total of 7 of those. You're gonna have some different ephemera pieces to decorate your card with. You're gonna have a rectangle of black glitter paper. You're gonna have some white paper there. You're gonna have 2 of these that have a folded edge. And then you'll have a single sheet of napkin with lips on it. That will all come in your kit, and that is mostly everything that you will need to complete this card. However, there are a few things that you will need outside of what comes in the kit that will help for sure. So some double-sided tape or sequin or score tape, however you want to call it, is definitely a must. A bone folder you don't have to actually have, but it will help to get some of your creases in there easier. A brush for glue. It can be any kind of paintbrush. You'll definitely have to wash it afterwards. We just have some paintbrushes that are dedicated for spreading glue. If you don't, any paintbrush will work, or even one of those foam brushes from the dollar store will work too. Anything that you can spread the glue out on, you will need. And a scrap piece of paper is definitely going to be helpful for when we spread some glue out. And I use a ruler to help cut my double-sided tape when I have it down. It's not necessary, but it might make it a little easier. So let's get started with the assembly. We're going to start with a scrap piece of paper and this long white piece, and then I'm going to take my black glitter and I'm going to put it on the white side, because what we're going to do is we're going to cover this white piece with the napkin, and then also the inside of this black piece we're covering with the napkin as well. That's how we get those lips on there. So we're going to start with the one piece, and I'm going to take the Mod Podge that came in the kit, and then the brush that I'm going to spread the glue with. And I'm gonna cover this whole piece. And this is why I have a scrap piece of paper, so I can make sure that I get the glue on this whole piece of paper. And this is kind of the messiest part of this whole thing. It's okay. And then I'm gonna take it off of my scrap paper because I don't want my napkin to get all in that other gluey part, but we're gonna use that again because we're gonna do this twice. And I'm just gonna take my napkin and I'm gonna stick it on my paper, and I'm just gonna gently rub. It might have some creases in there. That's okay. I am just gently rubbing. If you want to take your brush and help get in the corners, you can see this adds a little bit of texture. I'm okay with that. It's all dependent on how you want it. Or you can take your fingers. Sometimes the white might rub away. That's okay. We're looking for the lips. Just gonna let that dry for a second. If you have scissors, you can also use those to help. If you want to rip, you can too. I'm just gonna cut it here with some scissors and let it dry. I'm gonna set it aside and we'll get back to this piece. And I'm just gonna set it off to the side and dry. And then I'm gonna do it again with the other side of my black glitter. I'm gonna try not to get that in the glue because I don't want it covered in the glitter part covered in glue. But this back side, I'm just gonna do the same thing. Cover it in glue. Move my paper. Take the rest of the napkin and stick it over. This part is the inside, and we're gonna cover it some of it with the ephemera, so you don't see this part too much, but that's okay. Then I'm just gonna set it aside to dry. And then I'm done with my scrap piece of paper for right now. I should also mention that you can use the rest of the Mod Podge for liquid glue when we need liquid glue, but if you have a bottle of like the Tombow or the Art Glitter or anyone that has kind of a finer tip, it might be easier to use that. But whatever you have and however you want to do it is okay. So the next step we're gonna do is grab these pieces of paper here, and this is what we're gonna use to create these pockets, the accordion part. You'll notice that I have some flaps here already folded. So our first step will be to take one of these, and I'm just gonna fold it in. I have my little flap lifted here, but I'm just gonna fold it in and down like that. If you have a bone folder, this is where it's kind of nice to get a nice crease on there. And now here's where the double-sided tape comes in. You can either open that or keep it closed. It doesn't really matter. But I'm gonna put double-sided tape at the top of my flap here. And I'm gonna put it all the way down to the bottom. And this is where I take my ruler and it helps me get just a straight, clean. You don't have to do that. You can do it however you want. I just found that's easier for me. And then I'm gonna take the backing off and fold it like that. And I'm gonna set it aside and I'm gonna do it again. So let's show this again. I'm gonna fold it in with the flap up just to the edge there. If you have a bone folder, I'm just gonna use that. If you don't, you can use a ruler, same kind of way, or a pen, or your fingers, whatever you have. And then on this flat part, I'm gonna put the double-sided tape along it. To the end there. And then lift up. We will need some more double-sided tape here in the next couple steps. And then I'm going to remove the backing and fold it over. So now I have two pieces that I have put tape on and have folded over. And then what you're going to do is you're going to tape it, or you're going to fold it in half upwards. So the seam is on the inside, like that. And I'm gonna do that for both. Yes. So then when we put these pockets together, you have, this creates pockets up there. And then how we tape these together is how we get the rest of the pockets. And so when I have these like this, we have a pocket here, and a pocket here, a pocket here, and a pocket here. 4. And then how we tape these is then we'll have pockets on the side. So I'm gonna take my score tape and I'm gonna put a little bit of tape at the top and a little bit of tape at the bottom. So some at the top here, and then some at the bottom. Take the backings off, and all this backing can go right in the garbage. So then it will still open on the top, and then you still have this gap here to put the coupons in there. And we're going to do the same thing on this one. And it doesn't have to go straight to the edge. It's better not to, because it needs some kind of room for the accordion part to work. And then at the bottom there, like that. And then the same thing for these two together. Some there, some there. Remove the backing. And stick those two together. So now we have pocket, 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 pocket. So that's 7 pockets in total. And I'm gonna set this aside because we're still waiting for our napkin pieces to dry. So while we're waiting for those still to dry, we're gonna move on to assembling the coupons. So you have a white backing and a red backing. And you'll notice when I put this red piece over that the love coupon part should be in this red box. And then it says good for. And then you're gonna have a pen and you're gonna write for whatever you want this coupon to be. If that's for good for 1 free back rub, or good for a date night, or getting out of dishes, or making dinner, whatever you feel like. I did include a list of possible coupons that you might want to do, but come up with your own for sure. Do whatever works best for you and whoever you are giving this to. So now I'm gonna use the Tombow just because it has a small tip. If you don't have liquid glue, you could very well use your brush and the Mod Podge as well by just dipping it in and brushing it on the back. You could do that. I'm just gonna take the fine tip here though. It's a little easier for me. And I shake it a little. And I'm just gonna put it on this rectangle part. It's just kind of big enough to do. Doesn't need a whole bunch of glue. If you wanted to add dots around, really glue some of that down, you can. I didn't go crazy with the glue, just a little bit on there. And then take it, glue on top. I like to use the liquid glue here so I can make sure that I have it lined up. You have a little bit more room for it to move with the liquid. And then just like that, you'll do that for all 7 of them. And then you will go in and, like I said, take a pen. Doesn't have to be pink, could be purple, could be black, could be whatever color you have, and then write for whatever it is good for. And then once those are all assembled, we'll set those aside as well. And we'll bring back the pieces we put the napkin on. This one's still a little wet. That's okay, we'll make it work. Now you can either cut it or glue it. I'm gonna go and cut around just a little bit around the whole piece. If it's super glued down, you can easily go and rip it. Sometimes you just have to check to make sure it's glued all the way around the edges. I can see already that I have some spots that aren't. So I'm just gonna go back in with my brush and my glue and stick it down. You can also bring back your scratch piece of paper so we don't get glue everywhere. And I'm just gonna go and put a little bit just around the edges. And I'm using my fingers. Sometimes the fingers are a good tool too. You don't have to do this. If you want to cut clean down and skip this step, you totally can. I just like a clean edge, so I do this just so my edges are nice and clean. And I'm just folding it over is what I'm doing. And I'm just gonna do that all the way around. This might require, if you do this, it might require a little bit more dry time. Move the paper, so I still got glue on my little station, not that big a deal. And you can see if it gets too wet, it tears. This is the inside, you're not gonna see this part, so it's not that big a deal if it is perfect or not on this side. I just do this so I have a nice clean edge on the outside. Because this will be the front of our card here. So I'm just gonna set that aside to dry. And I'm gonna kind of do the same thing with my black piece. I will see about tearing this one so I can show you what that looks like instead of just cutting. So that would mean I would just kind of tear along like that. And if you do this and you tear too much, that's okay. We do have some ephemera pieces that we can embellish. And then you could go and take your scissors and clean up those frayed edges. This cuts down on some of the drying time because I didn't fold it back over. And the black I wouldn't fold over just because we are gonna see the black. So this one I would tear or cut to the edges here. Okay, so now I have this black piece, which will be this flap piece, and then this piece. And we don't have to necessarily let that dry all the way because we are gonna be covering our card with it. And now you have to kind of decide which ones you want to be the front, which part you like the best, what part you want in the back. It's all personal preference, like that. And you'll see that the back doesn't quite go, but what we're gonna do is we're gonna put this black piece first, and we're gonna glue, we're just kind of playing around, kind of like the flat piece there. So with that like that, haven't glued that yet. I'm gonna put some glue. You can either use the Mod Podge, you can put some tape down too. The tape is actually quicker than the glue in drying, but I'm just gonna glue it down like that. That's exactly where I wanted it. So now I can go and I can put some tape, my double-sided tape. Down so we can stick the cover on. So the black flap has to go down first, and then we are going to cover it with the part we covered in the napkin. And make sure to line it up. It looks like mine's a little bit wonky. That's okay. We'll make it work. If you're using the wet glue instead of the double-sided tape, you have more wiggle room to scooch it and line it up than you do double-sided tape. Once it's down, it's kind of down. Especially with the Silkwing or the Score Tape brand. now you see that I have the cover, the flap, and this part. And then when you open this up here, we have the pockets for the cards, and then so you have 4 in the accordion, and then we'll put 3 on the side, and I'll show you that. But now we have a ribbon in our pack, and we are going to add the ribbon. I'm gonna put the ribbon over this seam here, like that, and then that's where we'll tie it like that. So I'm just like to lay the ribbon out so I can see, and then I'm gonna put that kind of in the halfway mark so we can see, and I'm just gonna hold it, flip it over, move that down just a little bit. I'm just gonna add a little bit of glue here at the seam. And that is where I'm going to stick my ribbon. And this will be some dry time as well, so you will have to wait for that to dry. And we'll set that aside to dry. But I'll show you on my finished one. So then, once it's dry, you can take any ephemera bits. Yours may be the same as I have in this video. Yours may be different. Every pack is gonna have a little bit different. And then, so I took some and I covered that ribbon up. So I would use this one. So this one that's not quite dry, I would use this to cover up that ribbon seam and the glue in there once it's nice and dry. Then you can stick something when you open the lid, or the cover, not necessarily a lid. Then you could put something right in the front here. So then, like I said, this one's still drying and it will take a little bit. So I'll just show you on this one I already have done. You'll be able to open it. My glue finger, sorry about that. And then you can tie it, untie it, and then I'll show you exactly. We have the coupons that you already wrote on. So you're gonna have one in this back corner or back pocket. You can leave it sticking up a little bit so then they can see that it's in there. You'll have one there. So in this accordion part, you can fit 4. Like that. And then on the sides here, you'll have one there you can put. Then you'll have another one in the middle. And then another one here in the back. So 4, 5, 6, 7. And then you can tie it up. And you have your card like that.